Hey guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate them. Okay, let's get that burning. It's a little white sage incense. I kind of like to burn it sometimes when I'm doing these readings. And since we're beginning a new week, this is the new Sunday weekly for the new month, right? Which is April, right? I'm filming this early, so if I'm sounding a little bit doubtful about my dates, that's the reason why, because I'm going to be traveling when you see this. But this is for April 3rd through the 9th. So it's the first full week in April in Aries season. So I'm burning some white sage incense just to honor that, to clear away, whatever we had going on in March. And now we're into April. So let's just honor that and just kind of be in that moment, right? For those of you that are new, my readings are for all signs. They are collective. They speak in broad terms so that I can reach as many people as whoever may see this video, right? Over time and space, guys. And remember, Spirit doesn't have a watch. They work over on a whole different, I don't even know that they have a time frame, right? Spirit. So, and our higher selves or our own spirit or souls are a part of that. So when this message comes to you is kind of when you're supposed to have it, is how I see it. And so if you're watching this and it's not any one of those dates in April, that's okay. If the message still makes sense to you and it's even just for a singular day, even though this is a weekly reading, that's okay too. Utilize it to the best of your ability. Please pull down the drop-down menu and read that if you're new to me. There's just stuff in there I want you to keep in mind when utilizing any of my daily readings or the weekly readings or any of my content. There's also links in there, my link tree, which shows you where to follow me on social media if you want to, and just which decks I'm using on the present video, all of that sort of stuff. So please check that out if you're new. Other things you can do to support the channel: if you enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up button. It greatly helps. Leave me a question or comment. If the video resonates particularly or hits home, please let me know that. I love to see comments like that. It just lets me know that even though I might have a small audience, it's a small and mighty audience that I am actually making a difference for. And that's the whole point of this channel and why I read cards, is to make a positive difference in people's lives. So beyond that, you can share the channel out, share out any videos, check out my other content. I have unboxing videos, pick-a cards, things like that. And hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video comes out. I do daily content, so you should see a new video every day if you want. It's there for you. And it's all free. I also do private readings too, and that's in the Linktree link, how to book and pay through PayPal. And then you would message me at my Facebook business page once you've done that, and we would schedule the time. It's a pretty easy process. All right. So let's see what's going on in the cards. Each card is going to represent a day or two of the week. Some of you might experience these cards a little bit longer or a little bit quicker. Some of you might experience only one of these cards this week, and some of you might experience all of these cards and then some this week. It really is dependent on what you're working on. Take what you need and kind of leave the rest, is how I feel, all right? And if this doesn't resonate with you or doesn't feel like it's your reading, that's okay. You can declare that and be like, you know what, this isn't for me today. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong, broken, or bad, right? It's just that you're working on something different than the majority of people that are going to see this video over time and space. Nothing major. All right, so let's see what the cards want us to know for the week of April 3rd through the 9th. So for the beginning of the week, we have the Three of Cups. I will take it. I love the color of this card. I love how it's depicted too. The Three of Cups would obviously be cups, which is water, the water element, right? our emotions, feeling content, feeling connected. I love that they're looking at the constellation. So it's sort of a little bit dreamier than a traditional Three of Cups, but they're there, they're joined together. They're in sort of threes to me are always about collaborative interactions, right? Sometimes coming together in, well, I don't even want to go there. To me, the Three of Cups is always an emotionally happy card. It's a card of celebration. It's a card of enjoyment. It's a card of loving those that are around us that we're appreciative of, and also being appreciated in return by those same people, right? So seeing those things, that's sort of the pink hue of these cards, the sisterhood that you see here. It's a very feminine, empowered energy card, right? So even for the men that may watch the channel, this could be a time where we feel a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more emotional, a little bit more appreciative. Our heart's a little bit more open. We're able to dream a little bit more, right? I love the dreaminess of these girls looking at sort of the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper, whichever constellation that is, but they are looking at that cup up in the sky, right? And they're appreciative of each other, of the sky, of the moment. There's a presence here. And I mean, like living in the present moment and really relishing it at the beginning of this week that we should be doing, right? Everything that we do should be somewhat emotionally intentional and in appreciation, in gratitude, in celebration of who we are and who is around us. And as we do that, it should bring us feelings of well-being, feelings of optimism, feelings of healing. Even this sort of pinkish mauve color associates to me the heart chakra, compassion, where the spirit resides. And really living from that place in the early part of this week should bring about really beneficial and optimistic viewpoints within ourselves, where we can see the magic in life, the possibility, and feel emotionally grateful for what we have rather than be focused on, say, what we don't. Does that make sense? Now, for the midweek card, we have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords, this is kind of a dark card, a sort of dark depiction, right? But the Six of Swords is always about being moved to a better position. And swords, being the air element, right, is about thought, communication, how our mind works, what we're thinking, where we've been. Now, when I look at the Three of Cups in the earlier part of the week, emotionally, we should be feeling good, or we should be tapping into those good feeling emotions, right? They're available to us. If you guys are feeling stuck this week or frustrated or whatever, because some of you might be, that's some of this Six of Swords. The Six of Swords would indicate moving away from that. I love that she's being carried, her boat's being guided by these crows. To me, crows are magical animals. I love crows. And they're pulling her sort of maybe even away from her own self, her own self-sabotage, her own pessimistic thinking, her own, if there's arguments, trials, tribulations going on in our lives, the Six of Swords is like we're rerouting our ship. We're rerouting our thinking. We are moving to something calmer, better. Sixes are always about balance, right? So there's a balance ideally within our thoughts, within our the way we perceive things. There's that phrase that I sometimes say, whatever you perceive, you will receive, or whatever you believe, you will receive. It's the same meaning, essentially. So our thoughts are powerful, and we need to remember that. And so are our emotions, right? All aspects of our being, the mind, body, and spirit, all of those, plus the emotions, are all very powerful kind of aspects of creation that we have within us. And so when I look at this card, she's being guided by these crows to move to a better place mentally, to communicate herself more honestly, to be in a position of more balance. She is safe within her boat, right? But there is some turmoil or tumult going on around her with those waves, and the fact that she's moving over water would be symbolic of moving over emotions that maybe don't necessarily work for her anymore. And to transform that, or to move to that quieter, calmer, more balanced place, she's going to need to trust the I want to say, like, her deeper, more subconscious self. And the reason why I say that is because of the crows being these creatures that are associated oftentimes with like the laws of spirit, and the birds being black in nature, to me speak to the core of the subconscious, of our deepest depths of our mind or our thought processes, right? Getting down in there and figuring out like, okay, this isn't working for me, so we need to change this, and allowing who we truly are at a very deep, dark level. And I don't mean dark in a bad way. I mean like just deep down in there in our subconscious, to guide us out of whatever maybe isn't working for us or is holding us back or is keeping us pinned. There's always movement in the Six of Swords too, right? The boat is always sort of moving in a direction that it needs to go to, so that things can be more balanced and calmer. The interesting thing about this is usually the Six of Swords is depicted as heading into the future, which would be this direction for me. It's heading directly at us. It makes me feel like I need to call out to some of you that there's a look here at ourselves that needs to take place. There's a look at our, like not a reckoning. A reckoning seems a little serious to me, but I mean, this card has a little bit of a vibe to it of seriousness. But there could be something staring us dead in the face about ourselves or our thoughts that we need to face, change, alter, move, evolve, if that makes sense, so that we can maybe continue to progress in the good-natured feelings that we were feeling in the beginning of the week, the appreciation that we have in that Three of Cups, right? There's still like maybe in the midweek a little bit more mental work that needs to take place. And it looks like because of her positioning, that mental work is focused directly on us. The camera lens is on us as we look at our thoughts, how we perceive, what we create, and then guide our way out of that, right? The end of the week card, okay, is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords is often associated with like sort of like a no energy. It can be sometimes a block or negative. I don't necessarily get that from this. I feel like, to be honest, this 6 and this 2 tell me that this is a week of trusting ourselves over others. I do think that we need to get our head clear, would be the best way to describe what I'm feeling here. I feel like we're clear in the beginning of the week with the Three of Cups. We're even clear with the Six of Swords in the midweek, but we're aware of something that's rather glaring or not working for us thought-wise that we need to change. I think that the Two of Swords is about that. I want to say about seeking that change and the struggle that comes along with that. But I get this feeling that we need to either trust ourselves completely and allow those crows to guide us that we see in the Six of Swords, or some of us by week's end will get into conflict with our own mind, and that's where these crows or our deeper subconscious almost feels as if it's attacking us, confusing us more. If we're letting too much of, say, maybe our ego into a situation, or our fears, our resentments, our past into the situation, I think that could potentially, for some of you, be creating the block that is this Two of Swords, right? Because Two of Swords is traditionally depicted with a woman with two swords across her. She can often be associated with drawing boundaries in the sand and being like, no, you can't do this to me. But this girl here in this particular design feels like it's almost like what was guiding her to balance towards the midweek almost turns in on her if she doesn't pay attention or trust herself, trust her subconscious, trust her true thoughts, right? That's when these crows kind of feel like they're getting a little bit out of control, wrapping the ropes around her. She's getting a little bit maybe unnerved or feeling like she can't quite make a decision. But the conflict to me feels like it's within the self. That's that position of the Six of Swords that I see. And it's also sort of her swirling about with these crows. And these crows are really giving me our subconscious thought vibes, right? So if our mind is harboring things that are holding us back, now is the time when we are being forced force to look at them. And then so this Two of Swords makes me feel like, are we fighting against that force, or are we in alignment with it? And we get a choice here. She's blindfolded, which is always a depiction of the Two of Swords. Part of me feels like in some ways this blindfold can present a challenge for some of you, and in others it is actually a strength. And what I mean by that is that you can still listen to those crows around you, because it's funny, I'm getting like two different visuals from this card at the same time. One is these crows are attacking her because she's like, no, I can't do this. I just can't. I'm too caught up in my, the past or the future, my worries, my resentment. And her subconscious is flying around her going, rah, rah, rah. And it's convoluting her, right? So I see that as a scenario for some of you. But then I also see another scenario where this blindfold gives her the ability to go within and to listen to these crows and to maybe draw boundaries in certain areas of her life where she knows she needs to. And this crow is actually whispering into her ear. And then there's almost a smirk that appears on her face. Like the blindfold is like that inner knowing, right? That there is this potential to actually shift the confusion if we resist what we're being told, right? In the movie, that's when all hell breaks loose and these crows begin to feel like they're attacking us. These deeper parts of who we are feel like we're at odds with them, but we don't have to be at odds with them. The Two of Swords isn't necessarily it can be an at odds card, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm certainly seeing this kind of dual vision of that crow can be either whispering in our ear or that crow can be screaming in our ear. And we get to make the call on that one this week in how we approach whatever it is we're thinking, however it is we're thinking, and how we're holding those thoughts in our space. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, guys. So some of you may experience this week vastly different than others. Okay, so, and that doesn't often happen in my readings, but I do get this vibe from her that in 1 minute, she's listening to that crow and she's smirking because she's like, yes, I do hear you, higher self. Yes, I understand. And I will use my own sort of inner guidance. And that's the blindfold where that becomes a strength for her. But there's others of you that might be caught up in, wait, I can't see, I can't figure this out, oh my God, help, and you become in resistance to it. And once you're in that energy of resistance, I'll give you another phrase, because what we believe we receive, what we resist will persist. So if we are in resistance to something, generally as a rule, we're in such resistance, we've built an energetic connection to it that brings it right back to our doorstep. So keep that in mind going through this week. Let's look at the Sacred Forest Oracle. And now this Oracle card will be underpinning the entirety of the week, so keep that in mind as we move through this week. Moonlight Enchantment, Magic. So talking about the subconscious and seeing all of these crows, talking about seeing the forest from the trees, talking about this wolf here hanging out, like howling. This is card number 25. 25 would come to a 7, which would be about a conscious choice that we need to make this week. I believe that conscious choice lies in all the 3 of these cards. It's like where we're choosing to put our thoughts. And we are choosing them, essentially. And that is the drama or the pull that I feel in both directions of the Two of Swords. Are we choosing to trust our subconscious and what's deep within us and allowing it to guide us to a more peaceful, balanced answer? Or are we fighting against it, right? When we allow that moon, which is our intuition or our subconscious self, to rise up above the forest, right? The forest would represent cloudiness, obstructions, environmental unclearness, right? But that wolf is howling out to the moon, right? Trying to connect to that moon. And that moon is sort of, to me, representational of the crows that we see in these 2 cards in the midweek and at the end of the week. We need to allow that moon to rise and to trust that subconscious or deeper self information, even if there's a little bit of chaos involved or a little bit of uh, obstruction. And that would be kind of the forest representation there. Like things are coming clearer this week for us. But we need to, this number 7 in this Moonlight Enchantment card is about, we need to consciously choose to pursue that clarity at a mental level, regardless of what's going on around us. We need to like sort of take ownership or responsibility for that. All right, let me read to you Moonlight Enchantment. Sorry, this went long. Moonlight Enchantment. The lingering howl of a wolf weaves its way through the night air. The brightness of the full moon bathes the entire forest in a silvery light. Fairies and elves and spirits of fauna and flora arise for a joyous night of celebration. The forest is alight with glee. Magic is all around you. The veil between the worlds is thin right now. Fairies, elves, angels, and spirit beings are just a thought away. It is indeed a magical universe, and the key to opening the doors to those realms is to trust. All may not be as it seems. By the protective light of the moon, the magic of the universe surrounds you. Even though it is dark, the light of the moon shows you the way, reminding you to trust what you feel. You are safe, even if you can't see. That's the blindfold, guys. You have faith that you are being supported in mysterious and wondrous ways by unseen beings in accordance with your highest good. That to me is that crow whispering in our ear rather than cawing in our ear, like alarming us. The spirit of Moonlight Enchantment says, believe in magic. You are being given powerful mystical messages from spirit. Take time to listen. Allow the luminescent receptive energy of the moon to activate your creativity. You receive mystical messages and you are a spiritual messenger for others. Now, I will say this too. These spiritual messages that we could be receiving that are so magical this week, they could be from within ourselves, guys. From within our own higher self. Because remember, we always look to the outside and go, oh, I need my angels, or oh, I need my guides. You don't need a guide necessarily. You have a higher self, damn it. You have a soul, a spirit that is connected to the greater grid, right? Similar to how the internet works. We can all tap in, tune in, turn on, and get the information through meditation, through reflection, through contemplation, through going inward, through trusting oneself above all else. I just looked at the timer and that was at 22:22 when I said that. So let's go to the grounding stone and finish this puppy up. This is the grounding stone for the week, guys. We want to keep this as a principle as we move forward through the week. And the grounding stone is health. I'm going to go so far as to say we need to ground in not only our emotional health, is very much so in the beginning of the week with that 3 of Cups card, but we need to also work on our mental health. That's the 6 and the 2 of Swords, right? They're both being air cards, and somewhat there being a little bit of a conflict or potential for conflict towards the end of the week. This is about a focus of how do I get myself into a better state of healthy thinking about myself. Right? There's this, I keep going back to this whole cry on wounded healer thing. This is about dredging up the thoughts that we keep about ourselves and finding the sort of a new way with that. Creating better mental health for ourselves through our thoughts. Does that make sense? And when our thoughts are healthy, other aspects of our being can become healthier. Our emotions become healthier. Our body becomes healthier. Everything can fall into alignment when we get our great analyzer to kind of work with us rather than against us. If we're in resentment, fear, anger, all of those sort of things that kind of are lower vibration and bring us down, they can serve to separate us in a way. This is about realigning ourselves. So grounding in that idea of health this week, especially with a focus on mental health, will be key. All right, you guys, it should be a very interesting and transformative week. I'm really excited for all of you. Again, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, share the video out, leave a question or comment, and thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys all later. Take care and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.